Hey there, my name is Taylor. I'm an amateur cyclist, and this is footage from the second race of the season for the Tuesday Night Crits in Breckenridge Park in Richardson, Texas. So I didn't have footage from the last week because my camera was haunted and didn't work, but this week I got footage. This is the C race, the Cat 4-5 race, and as you can see, there's a little bit of water on these like drainage ditches that the course goes through. It had been raining days prior, but today it was clear, so that was all that was left. You can see it's a little chilly for Texas standards. It's like in the 60s to 70s maybe. And there's this little bit of water on the course to deal with. And what happened was the water pooled more on the outside of the course than the inside. So I think a lot of riders, myself included, wanted to be on the inside of the course. And we had a big field today. So there were 49 racers starting this race. And everybody seemingly had the same idea, which was let's hang out on the inside of the course to avoid those big puddles of water. And that led to this group just traveling together as a huge peloton the entire race, which is not something I had experienced before. I haven't done all that many crits, but it never happened last year. And I didn't really know how to deal with it. So I'm showing continuous footage from the first lap here because it's really emblematic of all of the other laps that are all basically the same, where the whole group is together. Nobody's going off the front in a breakaway. Nobody's getting dropped off the back. And everyone's just kind of cruising 4 or 5 bikes wide through the entire course. Corners, not corners, ups and downs, whatever. So that was very unusual. And one of the things that, upon rewatching this footage for myself, I was wondering, what am I doing? Like, why am I leaving a gap of 2 or 3 bike lengths in front of me basically the whole lap so far? I don't have a rationale for that. I think it's the beginning of the season, so I'm feeling really cautious and not sticking directly to the wheel in front of me, but it also means that I'm putting down a lot more power than I need to stay with the group. So learn from my mistake. Don't ride like this. Instead, be closer to the wheel in front of you so that you're not putting down a bunch of power and still losing places. So not a good way to go. We're coming into the end of the first lap here, and this is a pretty short race. It's only 7 laps, and it's like a 20-minute race. So there's not a lot of time for gaps to form. But I just wanted to highlight here, going into the first corner on the second lap, look at how many riders there are, and they're taking up the whole width of the course. So I was toward the back here. I might have been at the back, and there's just so many riders in this race, and there's no breakaways happening. Super weird. Just a little bit later, you can see my brother here on the left just came into frame, moving up, and I tried to slot in behind him, but there's a rider behind him, so figure I'll be third in line, no problem. And then we kind of get squeezed out on the inside of this corner, so cuts that short. But then just like a quarter lap later, that same rider that I was behind tries to go up the inside again and gets squeezed out again and pushed out onto the grass. So this is, again, unusual, not something I saw a lot of last season, but maybe it happens all the time, I don't know. And then this, just wanted to highlight, like, I'm doing 300 to 400 watts right here, going with the wind and trying to stay with the group and failing. Like, I'm just falling back places here. This was weird, but eventually got back up. This kind of accordion felt like it was happening all day. Like I mentioned at the beginning of the video, I was trying to stay on the inside of the course to avoid the puddles, but I felt like everyone was doing that, so I decided here to try my luck on the outside and see what happens. And ultimately, it worked out better for me, I think, to be on the outside, but I kept kind of switching in and out throughout the race. And you can see here, this was an opportunity where I had a chance to move up on the outside because I put myself out there and people were squeezing to the inside, so I'll just go up a few wheels on the outside, try to play the field. And it worked out. But then, a little while later, I'm here back on the inside, moving up again, so you'd have to find the right spot on the course to be, and, I don't have any insight into how to do that, but it worked out for me a couple times. And yeah, this was one of the few points of the race where it was actually single file at the front. This, unfortunately, is a crash, so coming up here up to the left, a few riders go down, my brother among them, and they take out the left side of the field there. I narrowly avoid that, thankfully. And this was on the last lap, so people were going hard and just took a dicey line through that final corner. I think everybody was okay in the crash. I think maybe some bikes got beat up, but no major injuries. And here we are at the finish of the race. I'm doing maybe 500 watts through my quote-unquote sprint. That was good enough to get me into 20th place. And yeah, aside from the crash, this was a pretty uneventful short race. So had a good time and hope to see more people out for the next one.